Welcome to It's a Piece of Cake. I'm Lima, and in this tutorial I'm going to show you how to use chocolate transfer sheets. So chocolate transfer sheets have a pattern on them, so they're a piece of acetate that have a design, and then that design gets copied onto your piece of chocolate. So you're either going to temper some chocolate, and if you don't know how to temper your chocolate, I do have a tutorial which I'll put the link at the end of this video, or melt some compound chocolate. And to that you're going to add some food color powder. So it has to be oil based because oil based is for chocolate, and then you just whisk that powder in till there's no lumps. Once you have done that, you're going to pour that chocolate onto your transfer sheet. So with a transfer sheet, you get two sides. One side that you can kind of feel a rough surface that's got the cocoa butter, and that's the side that you're going to pour the chocolate on. And the other side will just be like a plain plastic feel. Once you've got all your chocolate onto, you're going to pop it in the fridge and let it set. Remove that acetate, and then that pattern has been copied onto the chocolate. You can also pre-cut your chocolate transfer sheets. So you can get your sheet and you can cut them in particular sizes that you want, and then just use those. So if you're doing like a square cake and you just want to attack this on the sides of it, you can just cut out some strips and then do the exact same thing as we did earlier. A few things I want to add. I do have a very old tutorial that I have also explained how to use chocolate transfer sheet. So this is almost like a part 2, kind of more of an elaborate version of it. So if you want to watch that video, I'll put the link at the end of that video. But here I've just cut out those long rectangle pieces. Now again, I'm adding my chocolate, and then I'm going to spread that on. And then this gives you those pre-cut sizes that you can use if you wanted to, like I said, wrap it around the cake. Or you can also use chocolate transfer sheets if you're going to make cookies. So you can use your cookie cutters and cut them, and you can use them for cookie patterns or cupcake toppers. There's a lot of things you can do with them. And they really dress up really nicely on desserts as well. So here I spreaded the chocolate. Before the chocolate could set, I removed it and let it completely set in the fridge. And once it has set, I'm removing again the acetate, and then that has copied that pattern onto the chocolate. So it gives you that really nice pattern. They're very, very easy to use. They take a little bit of practice, but there are some very important steps that you must get right. Like, for example, you must always make sure that your chocolate is not too hot when you pour it on the acetate. You have to kind of let it cool down a bit, because if it's too hot, it smudges your pattern. So here I've got the chocolate again, and I've let the chocolate cool down, because like I said, if your chocolate is too hot and you kind of spread this, it smudges the design. It kind of melts that cocoa butter. So that pattern gets melted if the chocolate is really hot. So what you do is you melt your chocolate, let it cool down, but just keep stirring it. So it whisk or stir your chocolate so it cools down, completely cools down, and then you pour it onto your cocoa butter. I find that works for me. I find that if the chocolate is too warm, you're going to get too much smudgy parts, because it kind of melts it, like I said. So let your chocolate cool down. As you can see, as I'm spreading it, my chocolate is already firming up. So that just shows you how cool it was before I spread it onto the sheet. And not all of your pieces are going to come perfect. Maybe some of them are going to get a bit smudged. So just be in mind, just practice till you get it right. And then what you can also do is, once you've spreaded all the chocolate, you can use all your cookie cutters that you've got, or you can use obviously the same one. Like here, I'm going to try and make the most of the transfer sheet, so I'm using lots of different cookie cutters. And as the chocolate had just firmed, so as soon as I touched it and I saw that it wasn't wet anymore, then I start using these cookie cutters and just really pressing it in. And that way, when you pop this in the fridge and let it set, you've already got these pre-cut shapes that you can use. Like I said earlier, you can use it for cookies, or you can use it for cupcake toppers, or you can use it for dessert decorations. And you can make this ahead of time, so you can make these earlier, just pop them in a airtight container, and then you've got these beautiful decorations ready for any dessert that you want to dress up. So I'm just using the cookie cutters, poked them all in, and then just popped it in the fridge with the cookie cutters, just like that. You can pop them in the fridge like that if you wanted to with the cookie cutters and let them set, or you can remove them before you pop them in the fridge. It's really up to you. So I let my cookie cutters set in the fridge with the chocolate, and then I've removed them. And as you can see now, I'm just going to remove all the pieces, and that the design has gone onto all those shapes. And like I said, not all of them are going to come perfect, so just look at the ones that you like, and then you can keep the ones that you like. And then with the scraps, you can use them later, which I'll show you how you can reuse your scrap pieces. So that's using the cutters. Another thing you can do is Again, I've got the white tempered chocolate, which I'm adding the oil-based food color powder and whisking that in so there's no lumps of powder, so you really want to work that through. And while I'm whisking all this powder, it's giving me obviously a colored chocolate, but it's also cooling down my chocolate. So I know that my chocolate isn't going to be it's not going to be hot when I pour it onto the cocoa butter. So I'm whisking it in just to make sure there's no lumps of powder. And like I said, it's also cooling down my chocolate. And then I'm going to spread it onto, I wanted to share this part. I didn't know if I was going to share, but I thought I'll just add it if you want more reference. But basically I've poured onto this really beautiful chocolate transfer sheet. It's got like little flowers everywhere, and I'm just going to spread it on evenly and cover the whole thing. So with this one, what I'm going to do is I'm making this as a present for someone, and it's just going to be kind of making a chocolate box. So spreading it on all the corners everywhere, and then I'm going to, if you're making a big slab like this and you pop it in the fridge, the ends will curl up, so you have to give it some support. So what I'm going to do is get a piece of baking paper once the chocolate has kind of almost set. Like earlier we saw it set and we used the cookie cutters, but this time we're going to let the chocolate kind of set, and then we're going to use a baking paper just to press on top, just to cover it. And then you're going to put something heavy, so you can put some books or some papers, something just to support the weight so it doesn't curl up in the fridge. And then you're going to pop that in the fridge and let it set. If you don't add the weight, the ends of it will curl up, so you won't have a flat slab, you'll kind of have like a curved slab. So I'm going to repeat that process with about 4 more sheets that I've got. Exact same process, just spreading on the cooled chocolate nice and evenly through the back of it, and then putting a piece of baking paper on top with something heavy, and then popping it in the fridge and letting it set. And like I said, I'm going to be making a chocolate box out of this one. So off it goes in the fridge with a baking paper, something heavy, and then I'm going to pop it in the fridge and let it set. And as you can see, I'm doing it for the 3rd time here as well. So same exact process. I just thought I'd add it if you wanted to watch it, but it's just, if you don't want to watch it, you can skip these bits. But I thought I'd just add it so you guys can see how easy it really is to use. Chocolate transfer sheets, a lot of people are very intimidated of using them. 1, because they are expensive, and 2, because if you do get them wrong, you kind of get deflated. And it's easy to get it wrong, but I find that the only way you can get it wrong is by your chocolate being too hot. Another thing I wanted to quickly add is when you rip off the acetate paper, keep that plastic film, keep that acetate, because you can reuse that making your own chocolate decorations. So what I do with my acetate paper is I wash them and then I keep them, because then you can make your own designs on that plastic film. And they're quite expensive to buy, so they're really good this way where you can have your own ones. So see this, now I'm ripping off this film here, the acetate. It's a nice, thick, sturdy piece of plastic that you can make your own designs and then wrap it around a chocolate. So like I said, you can keep those if you want. And then I'm just going to rip them away, and as you can see, it's transferred beautifully onto that chocolate. It's giving me this beautiful flower pattern, really, really gorgeous pattern. Then what I'm going to do is, like I said earlier, you can pre-cut them, as we did earlier, but I find that if you pre-cut them, sometimes if your chocolate's a bit thicker or the size can go a bit wrong, then it's hard to fix. So what I like to do is I make the whole entire slab and then just use a knife. Now I dip the knife in really hot water, so I boil water in the kettle, I insert my knife in there and let that blade get really hot. So when that blade is hot and you kind of slice it through the chocolate transfer sheet, it melts that chocolate. And when it melts it, then you get a nice kind of straight, even cut. And you have to repeat that every single time you do it. Leave your knife in the hot water for about a minute and let that blade really heat up. And instead of like cutting away the chocolate, you're kind of melting it away. So you will see the knife kind of slice through and the chocolate just melts away. And that's what I'm going to do, rather than cutting it from the start. I find that this way just works easier for me. And then I'm going to do it with all the pieces that I've got, just to kind of neaten up all the ends and cut the side. I've basically made 4 same size and 1 for the bottom, and then I'm going to use that just to kind of again use some either tempered chocolate or compound chocolate to attach them all together and make this chocolate box. I never got to record the end of the chocolate box. I didn't have time to record it, So you'll just kind of get a basic idea of how to make the box, but you can also add a lot to the box yourselves, which I'll show you later. So here with the big one, I'm going to do the exact same thing, melted, heated the knife and just cutting out the sides of it just to get a nice even cut. And now I'm going to do my last piece, and I'm just going to use my other pieces as a guide just to help me to get them the exact same size. Now with these chocolate transfer sheets, I also want to add that you can also wrap your cakes around with them as well. So if you do have a cake, all you do is you just add some of your chocolate transfer sheet and then wrap it around the cake and let that set in the fridge and then rip it away, and then this will give you that pattern on the cake. If you want a tutorial on that, let me know in the comments below and I'll see how many of you are interested in that. So here I've got some of my chocolate and I'm attaching all the sides now. So I'm just kind of putting some on the bottom and using just a paper towel as support to hold it into place, and then repeating that on all the sides just to kind of give you the box shape. So do that with all your 4 pieces, add the chocolate. Now you will have gaps that kind of maybe will break away or already had some gaps. You can just fill the insides of that with chocolate just so you can't see any gaps. So what I'm doing is I'll add this bit here, and then as you can see there will be a little bit of a gap showing. That gap I'm going to just seal with some more chocolate later. So that just gives you a very easy basic kind of chocolate box. Any excess chocolate that you have on the sides, again heat your knife and then use that to cut that away. So like I said, this isn't the end of this box, but I never got to record the rest of it. But this just gives you a basic guide on how to make a chocolate transfer sheet covered box, which is really cute. I personally love using chocolate transfer sheets, so I thought I'll just add this to it. Another thing I want to quickly add is if you do want your chocolate to be thicker, you can add another coat to the back of it once it has set. So when you have removed the chocolate transfer sheet and you have your chocolate, you think, this is a bit thin, just add some more chocolate on the back of it, like do a double coat rather than a single coat, and that will give you a nice thicker block of chocolate than a thin one. That's up to you. I also wanted to add this is if you do have some scraps of chocolate, you can heat your cookie cutters. You can heat it with the hot water, so you can boil really hot water and pop them in the hot water and then use that. But I find that if I use a hairdryer, it heats my metals a lot faster, but just be careful so you don't burn your fingers. So use some gloves or something. So you got the 2 options: either add it in in a bowl of really hot water, or use a hairdryer just to heat the blade and then press that onto your chocolate, and then that will cut out shapes as well for you. If you have scraps that you didn't use and it's just too beautiful to waste, you can do that. So I hope you guys did enjoy this tutorial on chocolate transfer sheets. And like I said, I do have a tutorial which I made many years ago, which the link is here if you want to watch that one. And if you did enjoy this video, let me know in the comments below. I love your comments and really appreciate the support. Or you can just give me a thumbs up if you enjoyed it. Thank you so much for watching, guys. Take care, and I'll see you next Tuesday. Bye for now.